today's video, I'm going to share my microblading experience. Now you may be able to tell that I've not had the procedure done yet, and that's because I wanted to be sure and show you what my brows look like just natural without any brow product in or anything. So I do have the rest of my face of makeup on, but I've not done anything to my brows. So I am going to film this video in several parts, with this part just being a quick introduction, and then after I have the procedure, I'll show you what my brows look like pretty immediately after the procedure, and then I'll follow up in a week or two after my brows have healed to show you what it looks like then. Now most people do need to go in for a touch-up after 4 to 6 weeks, so I'll film a second video that I'll post at a later date to show you kind of how my brows fade and look right before that procedure and then right after that procedure. So let's talk for a minute about what microblading is. Microblading is essentially a procedure where a certified cosmetic tattoo artist takes a hand tool that's kind of like a blade with several mini needles, and they actually use that to kind of cut your skin and deposit color into your skin in a way that really mimics hair strokes. So this is supposed to be one of the most natural ways that you can have some kind of tattoo procedure done to your brows to make them look the most natural as possible, because it does mimic the hair strokes. With this, you can get your brows evened up, you can get them kind of filled in closer to the middle, you can extend tails, you can better define arches, basically just give you a better shape overall. It is a semi-permanent procedure, however, meaning it will fade a bit over time, so you do need to have occasional touch-ups to keep the color at the vibrancy that you want it. So microblading is a little bit different than another tattooing technique for brows called powder brows or ombre powder brows. And that is a little bit more similar to an actual tattoo, where the artist actually takes a tattoo machine and fills in your brows in a way that actually looks more like if you were to fill your brows in with powder. So it gives your brows a little bit more defined look, a little bit more of a done look. And that, I don't think, fades quite as quickly as the microblading technique. However, it doesn't look quite as natural when you're, say, not wearing any makeup. It looks like you always have your brows done. So I've elected to go for the microblading technique. Now let's discuss why I've decided to get my brows microbladed. So as you might be able to see with my brows here, I don't have the best of brows. Most people don't. They're a little bit sparse. They don't come in as far as I would like. And I don't have even brows. My arches aren't even, any of that kind of stuff. So I have to spend a good bit of time in the mornings filling in my brows, trying to get the right shape. And it's darned hard to make my brows look symmetrical. And I know that they say that your brows aren't supposed to be twins. They're supposed to be like sisters, but my brows don't even look like sisters. They don't even look like cousins. I don't think my brows are even part of the same family. So I'm really looking forward to having someone give me the shape to make my brows look a little bit more symmetrical, so I don't have to spend so much time in the morning trying to do that. Now I realize that I probably will still need to at least fill in my brows to a certain extent in the mornings, and that's because microblading is meant to look a little bit more natural. So most people find that their brows look great on no makeup or light makeup days, but if I'm wearing a full face of makeup, I may still want to fill my brows in and give them just a little bit more color. And I understand that and I'm okay with that, but I still think that's going to be a lot quicker than the process I have to go through right now, where I have to really work hard to make sure that I'm filling in my brows and keeping them even and giving the shape that I want. So next, let me talk for a minute about how I came to find the artist that I'm going to be getting the procedure done from. So I've been thinking about getting my brows microbladed for a couple of years, but because this is a tattoo semi-permanent procedure, I wanted to be really careful about who I chose. And it is a little bit newer of a process. Tattooing brows has been around for a while, but this specific microblading technique is a little bit newer. And I live in a part of the country where we don't get things just right away. And so I didn't have necessarily a lot of options right away locally that I could go to. And I really wanted to make sure that the person that I was going to had done this before and I could see their work and they kind of had a proven track record before I sat down and let them do the procedure on me. So the way I started my search was by asking my hairstylist. And I asked her about this probably a year and a half or 2 years ago. And at that time, she didn't really know of anybody locally that anyone she knew had been to. However, as I continued to talk to her about it, she mentioned that there were a couple of other stylists in her salon that had been to someone locally and had really good experiences. So I had the opportunity to go chat with them about it and see their brows, and they looked great. So I went ahead at that time and started following this person on Instagram so I could just look at her work and just kind of follow her for a little bit. And then finally, a couple of months ago, I decided to reach out to this person and just start asking her a few questions because I wanted to understand about like how she keeps things sterile and just some of that. I sent her a message through Instagram and I found her very, very responsive and went back and forth with several different questions, and she always was really good about responding. And so in addition to talking to people that were really pleased with how their brows look, I also felt really good about her as an artist in terms of how she was going to do it and keeping me safe and making sure that I was going to be happy. Because she's certainly doing really well. She's booking out, a couple of months in advance. So it's not like she needs the business. So the fact that she was so responsive really tells me that she cares about what it is that she does and wants to help people make the right decision and have a good experience. So I did decide to book with her, and so I'm getting my brows done this weekend, and I'm really excited. So now I'm going to go ahead and hit pause on the video, and when you see me next, I will have my brows done. It's been about 3 hours since I had my brows microbladed, and you may be able to tell that I'm not wearing any makeup. And that is because my artist asked me to come with a completely bare face. That way she could see my skin tone and really be able to get the best feel for what color to do my brows. So I'm really, really excited about how my brows look. Now she did mention that because of the color that she was putting on my skin or putting into my skin, that I could expect them to be just a little bit warm for the first week or so, as the pigment's still sitting a little bit on top, but as they heal, that it will go deeper into my skin by just a bit, and as it does that, it will get a little bit warmer. But you can see how my brows look. And I really love the shape that she gave me. I really love how thick they are, the symmetricalness of them. So far, so good. So my experience went really well. I was there for just under 3 hours from the time I got there to the time I left. When I got there, of course, she had some introductory stuff that we needed to go over in terms of what to expect from the procedure, what the aftercare process would look like, etc. Then she actually mapped out my brows for me using like a dark brow powder and made sure that it was the kind of shape that I was looking for and all of that. Of course, that's after we talked about what I was wanting to achieve. Then she applied a topical numbing cream and she let that sit on my brows for about 30 minutes. So that could give it plenty of time to numb my brows. Then once that was ready, she actually started in on my brows. She did show me the color. Of course, just seeing pigment in a little cup, it's hard to know how that's actually going to look. But she did show me the color that she thought would be the right choice. And she went ahead and got started. So I was laying completely flat for the procedure, which was good because I was just a little bit unnerved about the procedure. Not too bad, but I'm not a needle fan. So even though this isn't like a machine, like a tattoo machine that's vibrating the needle in and out of your skin, it's a hand tool that she's doing, I was just a little bit antsy, but I was really pleasantly surprised that after the first couple of strokes, I really couldn't feel anything. And she was checking in with me to make sure. And so what I actually did mention to her was I couldn't really feel anything other than just a little bit of pressure, but I could hear it. And she said that, yeah, that's actually what they call the sweet spot. That's how she knows she's getting to the right spot. Because when the blade is hitting the right part of the skin, it does have just a really like subtle, almost crunching sound. I don't know really how to explain it. I think it's probably more that since it was happening up here, I was hearing it through my head rather than the sound waves traveling around into my ears. It wasn't like annoying or anything, although she said some people do get kind of grossed out by it. But really that was the thing I noticed more than anything, was the sounds that the blade made as it was cutting my skin rather than actually being able to feel. So she continued to work through my brows, kind of doing a section on one brow, then she'd do the same section on the other brow, then a little further, etc., to give my brows a little bit of chance to rest. It really never was painful or even really all that uncomfortable. However, occasionally when she would need to wipe, I could feel like a little bit of a stinging sensation, because obviously it is an open wound on your skin, and when something rubs over, that does feel just a little bit tender, or like I said, I had a little bit of a stinging or burning sensation. And then of course she finished up on the tail, and that's probably where I felt it the most. And I don't know if that's just because by then the topical was starting to rub off, or if I was actually you know, able to just feel it more at the tails, but none of it was bad or painful whatsoever, and I'm really pleased with how they look so far. So in terms of my aftercare, I need to be careful for the next week or so, just to make sure that I don't get my brows too wet, too sweaty, anything like that. Now, she does recommend to wash the brows gently twice a day with an antibacterial soap. Apparently that varies place to place, state by state, kind of even depending on what the weather is like. But she has found that that's where people have the most success. What you don't want to do though is let your brows get very wet for very long. So you have to be really careful in showers. You have to be really careful if you're working out, because anything where you're getting really hot and your pores are opening up and then it's allowing moisture to come in, that's when you could see some issues with, you know, the water or the moisture potentially weakening the dye or moving the dye around or something like that. So I'll just have to be careful for the next week. And then I do also need to avoid any kind of makeup or anything getting in or even directly around my brows until my brows heal. So I can expect my brows to scab over and then flake off. And of course she reminded me to not pick, to not remove any of the scabbing or the flaking, to let it happen naturally. And so that could take more like 10 days or 14 days. Now during this time, my color will change a little bit as it's migrating from the surface to deeper in the skin, and then it looks a little bit lighter as you get some kind of a layer over your skin where it's healing, and they kind of call that like your milky skin. And then that'll get better, and then the color will get a little bit more vibrant. But I do know to expect to need a touch-up. That's something that most people need, and she always just schedules it. And so I will probably go in for my touch-up in about 6 weeks. So I'll go ahead and close out this part of the video, but you hang on for just another couple of seconds, because I'll go ahead and jump forward to a couple of weeks where my brows have pretty well healed from this process, but before I get that touch-up so you can see how they look. It's been 2 weeks since I've had my brows microbladed. The scabs have all fallen off. Right now I'm wearing a full face of makeup, but I do not have any eyebrow products on my brows. So what you're seeing is how my brows look with the microblading 2 weeks after. So it has started to, I think, level out to kind of a little bit more normal of an intensity, although I still have a little bit of patchiness, especially in my left eyebrow. The scabs fell off most quickly in my right eyebrow by, you know, a day or two, and so I definitely had a little bit more lightness in this one, but that's starting to return a little bit. And this one, it did take a couple more days, and I think the last scabs really only fell off a couple of days ago. So this is what we've got going on right now. Now, the color is still just a smidge warm, and I think that will continue to change as well. And I may get a little bit of intensity back. I'm really not sure what to fully expect. I do know that my next appointment is in about 4 weeks, and my tattoo artist does like to wait about 6 weeks, just because the brows do change even after you've lost the scabs and had a little initial time. The brows can change a little bit over the following few weeks after that. But overall, I'm really happy. I haven't applied any brow product to my brows since I got the procedure done. Of course, for the first 10 days or so, 10 to 12 days, I couldn't apply anything just because I still did have some scabbing. But really, where my brows are at right now, I don't even feel like I particularly need to. I think it would improve just the evenness a bit if I did, but really, I'm enjoying not having to put anything in them, so I'm not really bothering. And I'm hoping that after I get my touch-up and those heal, that really I'll be at a place where I don't have to do much to my brows, that I can just leave them natural and be able to enjoy, unless I'm really going for a heavy makeup look. So let me just tell you a little bit about the aftercare that I've been going through over the last couple of weeks. So to start off, every day I did wash my eyebrows gently with warm water and an antibacterial soap, both in the morning and in the evening, and then pat dry very carefully with a tissue. Once my brows were fully dry, I'd wait about 10 minutes. I would then follow up with a tattoo moisturizer that my artist provided me and apply a rice size amount on each of my brows. Now that was the directions that she gave me, but obviously if you have this procedure done, make sure you follow the instructions that yours gave you. I just want to give you an idea on what my aftercare looked like. In addition, I did have to be careful for the first 10 days or so not to get my brows too wet at other times, so it was recommended that I avoid long hot showers and that I wait to actually wash my hair until the very end of the shower, do everything else body-wise in the shower first, just to keep my brows from getting very wet. In addition, I also was told to avoid working out for the first 7 to 10 days, or at least doing so in a way that would produce a lot of heat and sweat, because once again that opens up the pores and the sweat can collect and kind of drip down into your eyebrows, and you want to avoid doing that. And then of course don't use any makeup products in or around the brows until all the scabs have fallen off. And that was really the direction she gave me, was after the scabs have fallen off, I can start to do it again. But like I said, I just haven't bothered. I'm just kind of enjoying saving the few minutes that doing my brows takes during my morning routine. So I'm definitely pleased with how my brows have turned out and the job that my tattoo artist did. I'll go ahead and leave her information down in the description box below. So in case you're in the northeast region of Oklahoma and are looking for somebody that comes with a recommendation from at least one person and someone that you can get onto their Instagram and see their other work and then possibly interact with if you think you're interested, I definitely want you to have her information, because she's been wonderful so far, and I expect everything to go well after my touch-up appointment. So I will do that touch-up appointment and then probably come back on one last time just to follow up on how my brows look after the whole healing process, after the touch-up, so you can see. But otherwise, I think this has been money well spent, an experience that I've really enjoyed, and would highly recommend that you look into it if it's something that you're considering. But do a lot of research, read about what you can expect after this. When I first heard about microblading, I figured it would be a longer term kind of deal, and it took me a little while to wrap my mind around being comfortable with going through all of this and paying this amount of money for something that might only last a couple of years before I need to get another touch-up. But I did ultimately decide I was okay with that, but you definitely want to go in with your eyes wide open about those kinds of things. So if you enjoyed this video or you found this information informative, please give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. And if you have not already subscribed, please go ahead and hit that subscription button plus the notification bell so you can make sure you find out when I post new videos. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and until next time, bye.